Is the housing market good? Is the housing market bad? The truth is, it depends on your perspective as a buyer or a seller. A better question is the market behaving like it normally does? And we are going to show you in the Southern California Housing Market Report. Maybe I should save the dessert for the end, but I wanted to dive right in. We're doing the Altos Research Reports numbers first. Normally we save these for the end, and we're starting with the national numbers. This report covers the entire United States. You can subscribe for this one and any city or zip code. I encourage you to do it. So we're specifically looking at the Market Action Index, and that's a proprietary number that reflects the amount of seller supply and buyer demand. So if you have a number that's 30 or below, it becomes a buyer's market, meaning there's plenty of inventory and not as much demand from buyers. Anything higher, all the way up to 100, that is a seller's market. So from 30 to 100 is a seller's market, which means the seller's in the driving seat. And that's what we've had the past couple of years. You can see here in national level, it got all the way up to almost 70. Wait till you see some of the counties in SoCal, how high it got. But let's rewind. So we're going to go all the way back to beginning of March 2020, and it was at 38.94. So it was below 40 back then. But where are we today? We are actually below that. We're at 36.26. At the national level, the level of demand from buyers as compared to supply of sellers out there is at a low, and we're getting close to the point where it's becoming more of a buyer's market. The other important thing, these diamonds or squares turned on their sides are year-over-year data points. Now you can see in these crazy years that what would happen is we were already starting to go up, having the market become more of a seller's market by this point in time, and then it continued to skyrocket through the crazy season, and then it would turn as you get late summer. That's the typical trend for home sales as things start to slow towards the end of the year after June. And the same thing in 2022. This big drop is when interest rates went through the roof, but the market kind of adapted. Didn't get back to these crazy levels, but it adapted. And we can see again, 2023, it turned and went up. 2024, it turned and went up. But what are you noticing about 2025? It's looking flat. So we are off to a flat start to the year. This is a pivotal time. We're going to see where that diamond goes. Is it going to stay flat? Is it going to go the other way? Is it going to shoot up? We will have to wait and see. It is not behaving like it normally does. Taking a quick run through the Southern California counties we share, and we can see that Orange County, it has been a strong seller's market for a long time. We're not as low as where we were in 2020 at this point in time, but we are a tiny bit higher, and it has made that turn. It started to go up, dropped, and now it has continued to go up. Los Angeles, recovering from the wildfires, but in the data, if you saw in our last report where we talked about the first post-fire market update, things are moving along in LA. People are out there shopping, perhaps to replace the homes that they lost, sadly. Another market, you can see in 2022 just how crazy it got as a seller's market. We're down, but it's headed in a positive direction. And you can see the past couple of years have been relatively flat, a more balanced buyers and sellers market. Riverside, definitely big drop off in 2022, and another market like the national market where right now we're lower from a buyer demand, and another market where we are lower right now than we were in 2020 for the Market Action Index, which means this is more of a buyer's market. And you can see it was like, if this was a roller coaster, these were your crazy hills, big drop, and then getting closer to the end of the ride, things slowed way down. San Bernardino, you can see here, slight seller's advantage, becoming more of a buyer's market, and yeah, lower. Like Riverside, lower right now than we were in 2020. And another one where it was a crazy ride, big drop, and things leveled off as you came into the end of the market. In fact, what's interesting here is it has continued to drop, become more of a buyer's market all the way since this peak here in 2024. So that trend has continued down without that turn up that we've had other years. So this is definitely not behaving like other years. A downward trend for San Bernardino. Ventura County, like we always joke, marching to its own drummer. And another one that it looked like it was going to turn, start to go up, and then it leveled off and went the other way. And right around where it was in 2020 at this point in time. Very flat sales. Are you noticing that trend? that usually when we look at the national data and then we look at our county data, we see that we're nowhere near. There's a different trend, usually a much more positive sales trend. We are not seeing that in Southern California. In San Diego, as I like to say it, this was a crazy market. They were at 100. The most perfect seller's market score you could get. I remember those days, everything flying off the shelves. And then we did have our humps, and then it has turned and gone up slightly, but much slower than years past. We're at a lower number, more of a buyer's market than we were in 2020. So gotta keep tracking this. This is a big change. The market's not behaving like it has in the past. Median home price madness. So we just showed you the market action index in the Altos Research Reports, and it looks like things are off. But despite that, we've got more madness in the median home price. So comparing February to January, we are up month over month, and that's not atypical. It's what's supposed to happen. Prices drop into January, the median home price, and then it turns around and goes up. But what's crazy is how fast it went up for these respective counties, and we're close to new price records for the median home price, which typically this time of year we don't hit a price record. Another crazy number, Orange County continues to just go nuts with the median home price. We're at 10.2% year over year for the median home price in Orange County. LA's 5.1. Riverside, which we saw that slowing in the market action index, becoming more of a buyer's market, that's only up 2.5% year over year. If you factor in inflation, they're down actually in value year over year. And our other three counties, and all of these are up month over month, except for San Bernardino. San Bernardino and Riverside, we saw that it is becoming more of a buyer's market. Appears that demand is dropping and supply is increasing, and that has led to prices dropping. That's not supposed to happen into February. Prices are supposed to go up. So San Bernardino, we're going to have to keep an eye on you. Then year over year, despite that price drop, San Bernardino is about 7.9% year over year. Ventura is 6.2%. San Diego, you're not doing too well year over year, only 2.5%. Again, factoring in inflation, that means values have theoretically dropped year over year. I know you're wondering if a leap year can affect the housing market numbers. Let's dive in. How many months have 28 days in them? All of them. We all remember that silly joke as a kid. But don't forget that when we run February numbers, that some of these years are leap years. Look, this isn't fancy, but it's important to take a quick look at this before we dive into more of the proprietary data. So new listings can be signed and offers can be accepted between buyers and sellers any day of the month. You're not limited to just business days. So that's easy to figure out. There's either 28 or 29 if it's a leap year to do those things. But when it comes to recording the sale of a property, that happens at the county recorder's office. That can only be on business days. So there are differences in numbers. And to make it even more complicated, some counties, specifically Orange and Riverside, will celebrate Lincoln's birthday on the 12th, and they will not record on those days. But some counties don't care. The other four, LA, San Bernardino, San Diego, Ventura, they don't have that day off, so they will record on those days. This handy chart shows us that there can be a difference on the number of days that we have to have properties close. Does this affect the numbers? Maybe, maybe not. It theoretically could, but worth noting the differences. You can make a mental note. This will be here so you can visit in the future if you want to know. Don't even think about buying or selling real estate in SoCal without talking to us first. And if you're a landlord who wants to sell a tenant-occupied property, that's our jam. And away we go. This slide, I've included the mortgage interest rates like I did last month. Give me a woot woot in the comments. If you like this, I'll keep including this. I don't know what a woot woot is. Just put one in the comments. So you can see where that black line is where mortgage interest rates were on average for February's going back. And it's very easy to see when we have lower interest rates, we have more properties going under contract and more listings. And then when we have higher interest rates, those things change. So the yellow line, those are sold properties. Those were last month and the months before pending sales. So that's kind of old news at this point in time. Then we've got the white line in escrow. Those are accepted offers, I guess would be a more technical way to put it, under contract. Again, that can happen anytime in the month. And new listings can be signed anytime in the month. In Orange County, that the lowest number of new listings for February was 2023. It's gone up. So we're seeing an increase in new listings. We're seeing an increase in pending sales. sales. That was at a record low in 2023, but it's not a huge increase in pending sales. We're not at new listing numbers or pending sale numbers anywhere near where they were in the more normal markets before COVID. So when we wrap this all together, when we talk about our median home price, which we already did, and we talk about the Altos Research Reports, this is not going to be a raging year for sales based on this start. That is very easy to see. Los Angeles, that market's actually moving along pretty well despite all the loss and damage that happened there. So we can see that new listings are up, and that's a more dramatic increase in LA than we saw in Orange County. Pending sales relatively flat. We'll have to see where the numbers go as LA starts to rebuild and whether folks are going to sell their properties and buy something else, sell and rent, or if they're going to actually rebuild where they are, which won't show up in the numbers because there won't be a sale. So we will keep tracking that. Riverside, we saw the drop in the market action index, and you can see it here in the numbers. There's an increase in the number of new listings, getting close to more normal numbers, and pending sales very flat. So that's what we're seeing. The buyer demand, that's the pending sales, and then the seller supply, that's the new listings. So sellers are showing up. They want to get their properties sold, but buyers aren't. Buyers are staying home and not writing a lot of offers. With mortgage interest rates where they are, it's not very compelling for buyers to be writing offers. San Bernardino, another one where we saw that market action index flattened out. New listings up, nowhere near 2018, holy cow, but getting closer to more normal numbers. We are up year over year for pending sales, but 2023 actually had more pending sales. That's a tight gap. We've talked about this in the past. The gap between new listings and pending sales means it's more of a seller's market. There's not as much to choose from, but we're seeing that widen. And again, that's why the market action index numbers in the Altos Research Reports were doing what they're doing. So there's no surprises in the numbers here. Ventura marched into its drummer. Look at that wide gap between pending sales. So they are down for pending sales, lower than 2023, lower than 2024, record low pending sales in Ventura, and a big gap with the new listings. San Diego flat for pending sales, and that increase in new listings. So another one we're going to have to see. Interesting to see too. So you can see in the yellow line, these are the sold properties. So seeing that this number is below 2024 and 2023 means that pending sales were low in the months before. So this trend for low numbers of sales will continue because our pending sales are low. And last but not least, the multifamily numbers. I hope you're still sticking around. I hope you want to see these numbers. Helps give you a perspective on the whole market. One of the only places you're also going to get these numbers. And you can see here that I included the mortgage interest rates. Same effect for the most part on the multifamily market. The difference here is that as mortgage interest rates go up, it leads to lower cash flow for properties. You bring in your income and you pay for all your expenses, and then you subtract your debt service, and that left over is your cash flow. And unfortunately, with a lot of it going to debt service, you're not going to have as much cash flow. And these will be adjustable rate mortgages. They will reset 5, 7, 10 years. So it'll be interesting as we continue to see mortgage interest rates reset. And that's what we've seen with office, where there have been distressed situations and pretty flat from the pending sales standpoint. And we can see that new listings are up, not as high as last year, but at a more normal level for new listings. In Orange County, LA, some of the multifamily buildings, unfortunately, were affected in the fires and burned down. Very sad, very difficult for both the landlord and renter. Flat from a pending sales standpoint, better than 2023. That was a record low, and actually better than 2020 for a number of pending sales. But we've got a high number of properties hitting the market, so we'll have to see where that inventory goes. It's not crazy out of line with past years, but if it continues to go up, that's where we're going to start to see prices drop. Riverside is a higher cap rate market, which means that the investor theoretically is going to be able to cash flow better. Inventory up and pending sales down, not as low as 2023, but down. Riverside just hasn't seen the multifamily flying off the shelves. Same thing with San Bernardino, a low number of pending sales, year over year up slightly, but still lower than years past. Ventura, not as many buildings, not as many sales, so not as easy to figure out any sort of trend from the data. Look at 2020, got crazy there, lots of listings. And then San Diego, the inventory's been up. I've noticed that in the reports, and we can see it's almost at a record, but pending sales that's recovered. Year over year, that's a big increase, almost a doubling in the number of properties going under contract. Let us know in the comments below where you think the market is headed and if you think it's being good or bad. Subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter so you can play with all the charts from this video, and we'll gently send updates every Sunday to your email inbox. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we can't wait to help you.